Hey everyone, 'tis I. I wanted to talk about how I survived parental estrangement and turned it into lemonade with a splash of vodka. I have two daughters. Both of them are estranged, and it's been going on for over a decade. It's not something I thought would ever happen. We were very close. We were always together, and the only thing I ever saw was my oldest would say, "Mom, as soon as I can move out, I'm going to get my own place." Because she really liked solitude. She liked being by herself. Even at the age of 9 years old, we were a couple of blocks from a Walgreens where I'd run down if I had to pick something up. And I'd say, "Do you want to go?" And she'd say, "No, I'm fine by myself," for the time that I was gone. And so, plus we had neighbors that kept an eye on the house, so I knew she was safe. And she was just hanging out by herself, and she really liked that. So I kind of knew when she had an opportunity to spread her wings, she would. It happened in a way I didn't imagine, but that was that. After they turn 18, they're adults. If they can spread their wings and fly, sometimes they jump out of the nest, sometimes they soar, sometimes it's all on them. But I kind of treated it the same way I treated it after my dad passed away suddenly in 2009. First of all, I said, what can I do to connect myself to my dad? Um, do things that he really enjoyed. So I started doing crossword puzzles and I started doing photography. And I was okay at crossword puzzles as long as they were like kindergarten level. No, I'm just kidding. As long as they were a little bit more simple. Sheffield's or Sheffer's crossword puzzles were always good for me. And then I started doing photography and I got a Sony DSC H20 point and shoot, and I realized I was really good at it. And it brought me so much joy, and in turn, I was able to bring joy to others through macro settings and the close up of a bee or a spider or butterfly, and eventually birds and wildlife. And so I just did that to honor my dad. And I had a dream about him in which he turned around and held on to me. And I said, "Why did you leave?" And he said, "I had to go." And it took me a year to realize he had to go so I could become the woman I was meant to be. And I treated my estrangement the same way. I said, "How can I honor my daughters?" And it was through living. And so I had to start living. I had really no choice. You treat it as almost a death of a relationship. That person has since passed from your life. And even if they're still out there, they're living. Sometimes we don't know what kind of life they're living. You're hoping they thrive and find joy and happiness in this world. And I had to do the same for me. And so that's what I did. I started to live again. And in the past 10 years, I've gone to school. I've taken up photography. I had, I lived in a couple of different places. I started to have new friends. I went to the gym, started working out. I have since started to live, and I can say it's initially Mother's Day, birthdays, etc. are hard, but on my daughter's birthdays, I celebrate it as a day I gave birth and brought forth life. So I celebrate me. And so that's how I started to live. I had no choice. I could either die or I could live, and I chose to live. And so that's how I tell people, treat it as you would any type of a loss. And you have to get back up, pick up the pieces, and move on. So I hope this helps someone. I'm not perfect. I'm just throwing out suggestions. I try to do my best to help people get over the bumps in the road with the least force possible. So, anyways, when you put this into practice, it gets easier, and eventually just start living a new life. So, I hope this helps, and I'll be back.